Aliyah moved through the quiet halls of the Grand Ascend Hotel like a shadow. 19 years old, deaf since birth, she communicated with the world through silence, gestures, and deep expressive eyes that often said more than spoken words ever could. She had learned to read lips fluently and respond with grace, keeping her presence minimal but her work spotless. Other maids giggled and chatted while cleaning rooms, but Aliyah did her job with precision, disappearing like she was never there. The one floor she had never dared step on was the penthouse level, until a random shift change placed her on the 52nd floor, just beneath it. That's when she first saw him. Dominic Rayner, CEO of Rayner Global, a billionaire genius with a reputation for being cold, private, and unapproachable. As she passed his room, she noticed the door slightly ajar and accidentally overheard him speaking into the phone with frustration. "I'm done with fake people. They only talk when they want something," he said, his voice low and bitter. "I just want peace." Aliyah continued walking, pretending not to hear, but something about his voice, its weight, its sadness, stayed with her. The next morning, to her surprise, she was assigned to clean his suite. She hesitated before entering, expecting an assistant or guard to wave her off. But when she stepped inside, it was quiet, spotless. And in the corner, sitting by a bookshelf near the window, was Mr. Rayner himself. He looked up from his reading. She froze. Would he question why she was there? Call security? Instead, he simply nodded and returned to his book. Aliyah worked carefully, dusting and folding towels, moving as if invisible. Before leaving, she paused, unsure why, but something within her moved. Turning toward him, she lifted her hands and signed just one word. "Thank you." His eyes widened. Then slowly, he signed back. "You're welcome." Her heart leapt. He could sign? He explained gently that his younger sister had been deaf and passed away 3 years ago. "Nobody signs around me anymore," he added, his voice quieter now. Aliyah smiled sadly and nodded. She wanted to say more, but she knew her place. She bowed respectfully and left, unaware that she had just changed the course of her life. The following day, everything shifted. Before she could begin her regular shift, a tall security guard approached her. "Aliyah Khan?" he asked. She nodded, nervous. "You're requested in the penthouse. Mr. Rayner asked for you personally." Her breath caught in her throat. She had never even seen the penthouse floor. As the elevator rose, she clutched her hands together to steady them. The doors opened to a floor covered in plush carpet and scented with lavender and lemon, and there he was, Dominic Rayner, waiting. He gave her a short nod. "Walk with me," he said. She followed silently, heart pounding, as he led her to a vast window that overlooked the entire city. "I've had dozens of assistants," he began, "but most talk too much and listen too little. You understand silence. You listen." Aliyah stared at him, stunned. He continued, "I want to offer you the position of my personal assistant. If you want it, it's yours." She signed rapidly, unsure. "But I'm just a maid. I didn't even finish college." He shrugged. "Neither did I. I'm not looking for degrees. I'm looking for someone honest. And I've been watching. You show up when nobody's looking. You care." A long silence followed. Finally, she nodded slowly. "Yes," she signed. "I want it." That night, in the small, shared staff dormitory, Aliyah couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, replaying the moment in her head over and over. It didn't feel real, but in the morning she learned not everyone was happy about her sudden promotion. As she passed through the staff corridors, colleagues gave her cold stares. One woman brushed past her harshly and muttered under her breath, "Think you're special now?" Aliyah didn't respond, but she felt the shift. Jealousy had begun to swirl. Later that afternoon, when she returned to the penthouse, she noticed the door slightly open again. Inside, she heard raised voices. Dominic Rayner, and a woman's voice she didn't recognize. "You're making a mistake," the woman snapped. "She's a nobody. You don't know anything about her." "I know she's honest," Mr. Rayner replied, his voice calm. "And sometimes that's all that matters." The woman grew more aggressive. "We've worked here for years. You can't just pick someone from the laundry room and hand her the top spot." "If I wanted more people with fake smiles and ambition hidden behind pearls, I'd go back to corporate," he said coldly. "She's what I need." Moments later, the woman stormed out. She didn't see Aaliyah standing hidden behind the wall. But Aaliyah heard everything. Her stomach turned with nerves. The very people she used to work beside now saw her as competition. She hadn't asked for this. She didn't campaign or beg. She had just been herself, quiet, respectful, hard-working. But somehow that was enough to ignite envy. Her journey from an invisible maid to personal assistant to a billionaire CEO was like a dream, but in someone else's dream. She had become the villain. That night, as she prepared to leave, she found an envelope slipped under her locker. Inside was a single typed sentence. "Not everyone likes a deaf girl playing boss." No name, no signature, just silence and threat. Her fingers trembled. The promotion wasn't a gift anymore. It was a challenge, and it had only just begun. The next few days felt like walking across glass. Aaliyah, now dressed in modest but professional attire, began shadowing Mr. Rayner during meetings, observing his schedule, managing silent tasks with flawless precision. She never overstepped. She only responded when needed. And yet she felt the undercurrent. Side glances from the boardroom staff, muffled laughter when she passed by, and subtle efforts to exclude her from conversations by deliberately covering their mouths so she couldn't to read their lips. Still, she persisted. She found peace in the rhythm of her work, and she grew to respect Rayner even more. He wasn't cold, he was wounded. And though he rarely spoke of his late sister, Aaliyah could tell she was the missing piece in his soul. Every signed word between them seemed to momentarily lift his burden. One evening, while organizing documents in his home office, she noticed something odd. Several emails had been printed and tossed into a trash bin. She bent down and read one. It was anonymous, cruel. "You're a fool for trusting a maid with secrets your board would kill to know." Her stomach turned. More crumpled notes followed. Some warned Rayner about her. Others mocked him for giving her power. She didn't know who was behind them, but it was clear now. Someone was trying to get her out. That night, while waiting for the elevator, she received a text from an unknown number. "Walk away, or we'll make you regret it." She didn't show the message to anyone. She didn't want to seem weak. Instead, she stayed late, worked harder, and smiled when it hurt. But the breaking point came 2 days later. Rayner was scheduled to sign off on a major partnership with an international firm. As she entered the boardroom to hand him the revised documents, the projector screen behind him suddenly flickered, then flashed images from her old social media page. Embarrassing ones. Her with torn shoes, her serving tea in a roadside stall before she joined the hotel. Her face flushed with shame. Someone had hacked into her past and broadcasted it to a room full of billionaires. Rayner turned around, eyes locked on the screen. For a moment, silence gripped the room. Then he stood. "Who did this?" he demanded. No one answered, but the smirk on one executive's face told Aaliyah everything. Rayner shut the projector off. Then he looked at her. "Do you want to leave?" he asked softly. Aaliyah shook her head. Then she signed, "I'm not ashamed of where I came from. I'm proud of every step." He nodded, turned to the room, and said, "That's the kind of person I trust. If you don't like it, leave." 2 executives resigned the next morning. Rayner didn't stop them. Weeks later, Aaliyah stood beside him at a press event, still quiet, still humble. Reporters called her the CEO's secret weapon, but to Rayner, she was simply Aaliyah, the girl who reminded him of his sister, the woman who proved that silence doesn't mean weakness. That day, Alia wrote a message for the hotel wall. Never underestimate a kind gesture. It might unlock the door to your destiny. And that became her legacy.